of Timmons Group. I am a marketing communications manager at the firm. I sit in Richmond, and today I'm joined virtually with Khelsey Lemon, who sits in our Raleigh office. Hi, Khelsey.
Lillian.
Yeah, so we're excited to feature Khelsey. Khelsey has been with the firm for almost 10 years. I'm going to say almost 10. I know we just had the conversation that's almost 9, but I think that 10 sounds incredible. And you've got a lot of experience behind you and a lot of experience coming your way too. So very excited to feature you. And, tomorrow is Juneteenth, and we know that, a lot of people will be celebrating around the country. And you have some particular kind of like insights and perspective on the inclusivity perspective, that we talk about at Timmons Group. We have a really cool company culture, I think, that celebrates all these different holidays, and you wanted to give your opinions on that. So, quick introduction of you, Khelsey. You, like I said, have been with the firm for going on 9 years. You have experience both in public and private land development. That's right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Was public land development within our 301 group, and we did a little bit of private work here and there, a lot of private work with the Rockets Landing development in downtown Richmond along the James River.
Yeah, that's right. And so another point, I'm kind of like fast forwarding here, we can go back to it, but another point that I wanted to talk about was that you actually are from Richmond and you have robust project experience in Richmond because you worked for Timmons Group in Richmond and then
Yes.
moved to Raleigh. So you've been in Raleigh for how long now?
I've been in Raleigh for about 2.5 years. It'll be around 3 in November.
Oh,
Feels like I've been down here for a lifetime.
well, I remember when you first moved down there because I came to visit the Raleigh office it was my first time visiting. And I thought, well, Khelsey was just in Richmond. How did she get down here? So yeah, 3 years. That's fantastic. You're all settled in and everything.
Yeah, settled in, busy, just
Good.
moving along.
Yeah, that's a cool opportunity too, to be able to build your career in the Richmond office and then take that career with you to the Raleigh office. You get to work with a totally different team. Not to mention also, I can't imagine, the permitting and zone requirements and everything is very different for North Carolina than it is in Virginia.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an eye-opening experience moving down here. Mind you, I'm doing the same thing as I was in Richmond, but like you said, the permitting and just having the different processes, the different localities down here was
Mhm.
definitely a learning experience, and I'm still learning really every single day with different projects that come up.
That's fantastic. A little bit more background on you. I'm sorry, we kind of jumped ahead and I got so excited to talk about Richmond to Raleigh, but you went to Virginia Tech for a bachelor's in civil engineering.
I did,
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. So tell me about that.
So I knew I wanted to do engineering in high school, and I went to Blacksburg for one weekend, I think my junior year, and just had like the realizations like, well, I if I'm gonna do civil engineering, this is probably my best bet out of the whole state. It's a guaranteed job. I want to say 95% of the engineers in Virginia went to Virginia Tech because it is the best school. So that's
You
how I
even have
landed
your
my
burnt orange on to,
yeah,
to represent. Yeah.
always showing the spirit. So it was a great experience, a great 4 years. I definitely recommend any high schooler that's considering engineering to look at Virginia Tech because it's the best for your buck. It's a great experience. You always meet wonderful people. The professors are awesome. It's nice.
That's great. And so you're involved in some, industry organizations now after, once you've gotten into your professional career. Were you involved in any organizations that you want to talk about? I actually know that there's one in particular that has spotlighted you recently at Virginia Tech.
So yes, the program that I graduated from at Virginia Tech was LDDI, which is the Land Development Design Initiative, which I want to say Virginia Tech is one of the few, if not the only, within Virginia that actually has a program that specializes in land development.
Oh, wow.
So I was involved in that, I want to say from my sophomore to senior year, and you just get a whole bunch of land development exposure. You see different projects, private versus public, construction visits, just things of that sort. And that was my first exposure to LEED, which got me into sustainability.
Yeah, and so you focus heavily on sustainability, feasibility plans, the stormwater management, all aspects of land development. Um,
Right.
and then your LEED certification, you did just get, wait, or did you say that you're on your first step to being LEED certified?
Yeah, so I have the LEED Green Associate, and the next step would be the LEED AP.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then you got your PE in 2021, so also pretty recent.
I did PE for Virginia in 2021, and I just got my license for North Carolina this
Oh,
past May. Yes, the last month.
congratulations. Last month. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's definitely cause for celebration. Fantastic. I realize our conversation it's ultra candid today. We're kind of jumping a little bit all over the place, but I want to hear more about the kinds of projects that you tackle from the public side.
Okay, yeah. So as I mentioned before, my foundation is public work, being or starting rather in a schools group. My foundation was mainly schools. I worked on a ton of elementary schools, high schools, middle school additions, just things of that nature. And relocating to a different office, I'm kind of getting to touch, I guess, all aspects of the public realm, K-12 work, public safety, public infrastructure, just things of that sort. So, a little bit of everything.
That's great. When you were in Richmond, you worked very heavily with the city of Richmond in Virginia. Do you work
Mhm.
closely with the city of Raleigh now as well?
Starting to. The first project, or I guess the first full project that I touched when I moved down here was the City of Raleigh Fire Station. And I'm starting to see some more work with the City of Raleigh come through, which is really nice. They've been really good to work with.
That's fantastic. So that K-12 experience, public safety, do they have any, commonalities, like anything similar between the two that you can talk about?
Uh, I mean, they're all a public project. You have the same end goal. You're working with an architect. So to me, they kind of blend together. You're still doing the same thing for every single project, your layout, utilities, stormwater. So they're kind of the same, just in different magnitudes.
Mhm.
So
Every project has its own challenges, I'm
yeah,
sure.
really. No one site is the same. Each site is different. The experience of every project is going to be different, but you still have the same end goal.
That's great. Did you know that going into civil engineering when you were in school? Did they explain that in LDDI that everything it's a challenge and it's kind of like a puzzle. Every single project is unique.
Yes, and funny story, I never really thought about land development when I chose civil engineering, and once I got to tech and learned what it was nice because I was able to see that with land development, you kind of get to touch a little bit of everything. And then learning that each project is different, you get to see like the different aspects in different lights for every single project.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I can imagine too, just with the way that the firm is laid out, with like the hierarchy and the different groups and divisions that we have at Timmons, I can imagine that you get to work, you kind of cross pollinate with some of those other groups that are in house. But then being on the land development side, you get to touch a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really nice. You get a little bit of experience and kind of get to see things from different perspectives, especially when you're working with different groups here.
Mhm.
It's nice.
That's very cool. Fantastic. Well, I'm glad that that LDDI kind of set you up for that success. That's a nice change of pace. I know I've heard of a handful of programs. I won't name which ones, but I've heard a handful of programs that folks kind of come out and they say, "Oh my gosh, I don't know if I was expecting this." And so to hear that Virginia Tech really supported you in that way that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So we talked about LDDI, and that was your involvement in college. You've been involved with a few other industry organizations since in your professional career. And I have a note here. We've got NCEDA, which is really cool. I want to talk about that. And then NSBE, which is the National Society of Black Engineers. So what's your level of involvement with NCEDA? I guess NCEDA. I don't know if they have a nickname.
So the NCEDA is the North Carolina Economic Development Association. Um, I got to touch economic development exercises, I guess, when I first started working full time. And it's something that really like kind of stuck with me because you get to see like a large piece of land or just like a concept with different companies from a larger picture. And it allows you to be a little bit more creative when looking at a site development approach because it's taking so many other aspects into account. And with this program, you get to meet and talk to economic development professionals from across the state and just get like their take on certain aspects because we have rural parts of the state, we have more developed parts of the state. So everybody has the same end goal, but similar to the projects in different magnitudes because Raleigh is very developed and they have plenty of jobs. While if you go somewhere to a very rural area, they want to bring, promote more wealth into the area and promote jobs and stuff like that. So it's just really interesting to be able to meet people with that experience and also be a part of their young professionals committee where you're talking to people at your same career experience and career level and they're trying to learn the ropes and learn the ways of the industry and all working through the same types of projects and having the same experiences and just kind of bouncing ideas off each other. So it's really neat.
That's great. Well, and I can imagine too that it kind of hits home with you and you're passionate about it because of your involvement in the public land development space. And then those things really, kind of cross over. The economic development space is really geared towards public land that's owned by the state or owned by the county and how to, build it up to celebrate a local community and bring economic wealth. And so your public experience in land development makes total sense with that.
Right.
That's fantastic. I love to hear it. I love to hear it. So, National Society of Black Engineers, you had mentioned also. What's your role in that group? Are you still active in that group as well?
So I try to go to meetings from time to time. I'm not as active as I was previously. I was actually a member of NSB all throughout my time in college,
Oh, okay.
serving on our board as secretary and other positions. Um, it was really nice and really comforting being a part of that organization because as a young Black woman in engineering in general, is not a lot of us. So it helped to have like that circle of friends and everybody trying to reach the same level, same goal, and being able to, study together, work together, practice interviews with each other and just stuff like that. It's just nice to have that circle of people around you just there for constant support and be
That,
that example really to like younger students, whether it's like middle schoolers or even family members that want to do engineering or STEM in general. It's awesome.
that is so cool. I love to hear about that. I didn't realize that you were so involved in college. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's like you said, it becomes a support group and you're just women have to stick together and build each other up, right? But then you have a particular group within, the women population that you really have, this common force that you need to excel in the industry. Um,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Okay, thank you. We're back. Sorry for that. We had a little blip of a technology issue. So Khelsey, we were just talking about your experience at Virginia Tech and LDDI, and I know that you had, kind of that culture at Virginia Tech that helped, very supportive, where you all had something in common and could share that and, and grow each other. I know that we have initiatives at Timmons Group that you feel close with that as well. Can you tell me about your experience with that?
Yeah, it's nice to have those inclusive driven initiatives to kind of like highlight those differences between people and recognize that everyone is not the same and some people have more similarities than others. So it's just nice to have those groups that you can, you have someone to relate to and get to know each other and just talk and relate about different stuff.
Yeah. So you've been involved with Women in Design because I know that we've been at events together. So we've got Women in Design. That's been a fantastic one. I know the HR team also does diversity in design, which is kind of built around focus groups and unique conversations to help build that inclusivity feeling as well.
Right.
Yeah. Have you been involved, in anything else? Well, and then I know we wanted to talk about some of the celebratory months that we have too, because, tomorrow is Juneteenth, and we are deciding to do this today because we wanted to acknowledge that, folks will be celebrating tomorrow, and it's a federally recognized holiday now. So we don't want to have this conversation on Juneteenth itself, rather do it a little bit in advance. So, do you have any specific perspective you want to share about that also?
I think it's awesome that people are starting to recognize Juneteenth. I know not everyone has celebrated it in the past, and it's becoming, I guess, more common knowledge for people. But in the fact that it's being recognized and that we have the option to utilize a floating holiday to celebrate it, it promotes that diversity and recognizes that there are, in fact, different cultures within the workplace. And it gives people the option to celebrate the holiday with their family and friends and just take that time to kind of sit back and reflect.
Absolutely. The floating holiday, I'm so glad that you brought that up because that was an initiative that the firm took. I guess it's probably been about 2 years ago now. And the floating holiday is really cool because it can be used, like you said, for anything that anybody, would resonate with in their own culture, their faith, or, their own inclusivity practices, however you want to recognize it. And so it's just really, really cool to see people using it and reflecting, like you said.
Right.
That's really cool. I love it. I love the unique perspective. And it's really fantastic when I get to interview people and I get to ask them about their experiences with the company culture. And you've just had such a cool time at Timmons Group. It sounds like almost 10 years, and you've seen a lot change. And I'm gonna keep leaning into the almost 10 years. Almost 10 years, you've seen a lot change, and you've had, a huge move from one office to another, different, teams to work with, grander experiences throughout the years, and a lot of company culture experiences as well. So we love to hear it. Yeah.
Always happy to share.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Khelsey, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I did get a heads up from our team from our communications team that they also want to share a link with this video to a blog that we just did that also features you. So, after this, this awesome discussion, you can also learn more about Khelsey on our website through the Timmons Group blog, and that link will be posted alongside this video. Awesome. Thank you so much, Khelsey. We really appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Of course, thank you for having me.
All right.